Hello, YouTube family and friends. well, I did watch some film noir today on TCM, and it was Barbara Stanwyck and Burt Lancaster. And I have not seen that movie all the way through in many years. I don't think I've ever seen it as much as I saw today. It was excellent. Let's get that out the way. Watching film noir is always good fun too for me. Now, it is a land of white privilege, but it does have some black and white in it. So, and while watching it, um, I was just amazed at how they made things so um, great looking in black and white. I mean, they worked with their utensils and what they had. And I guess that's the way we should work on things on YouTube. Work with what you got. Work with that Canva. Work with that. If you got CapCut, and use it, and whatever tools you want to use, honestly. But back then, they really did a great job on movies and photos. And what I like so much, what happened was, I was just looking for something to have on in the background to kind of mess around on the internet with, watching the TV then, and this came up, and it just totally took my attention because it is absolutely a kind of riveting type of movie in that it has suspense all the way through. It tells uh, a backstory in a backstory in a backstory. they were they were imagining things about what happened, and then they would tell you what was happening, and then in the tell you what's happening part, they would go back one more into something else that happened within the telling you of the first happening. So it did that a couple of times, and I was trying to figure. I said, so they tell you part of it and show you as a memory, and then they have a memory and a memory, and but it was good because Barbara Stanwyck worked that bed in sorry wrong number. She made that bed the best prop I've ever seen anybody do. You know, she made that bed uh, a part of the set of what she was doing. She wallowed on that bed. She rolled on that bed. She stumbled around it, and she worked that phone. And it was just, it was suspenseful because because I hadn't seen it so long. You had to kind of think about what exactly did happen, and it was good to see it. And then you see Burt Lancaster, who's abnormally good looking, and they had chemistry. And so, and one of the parts I liked about this is Burt Lancaster was really a street person who wanted to have money, and he's basically ready to do anything for the money. He drops his old girlfriend for Barbara Stanwyck, and Barbara Stanwyck was the lady who was how do you put it? She was well off. She was a well privileged woman, and she was used to getting what she wanted, and she wanted Burt Lancaster, and so, but he was resisting at first because he had his virtues and his values. Them virtues and values don't get you too far. You have to be a little greedy, and he wasn't that greedy, but he saw an opportunity, and she was it, and they had a chemistry, a little bit of chemistry, and so midway through, it shows how after going from memory to memory to memory, it shows how he actually got somewhat blackmailed and tricked into putting a hit on Barbara Stanwyck because she had heart problems and she couldn't move, and she was in one of them gigantic houses they used to have in the movies where it didn't just have one level, it had three, and the stairs wrapped all around three levels, and they got good camera angles to show you how it did it. So if she was incapacitated in any way, she wasn't getting down them steps without some help. And so what they did there, when they were going to kill her, they arranged for none of the people to be there to help her, and so she didn't catch on till like last quarter of the movie that it was her husband that had set her up, and she tried to call the police. She tried to call. She called the man's old girlfriend and found out all the stories, and then Burt Lancaster, while he was doing things that would, in her dad's company, which he was in, he married into the company. So when he married into the company, he got privileges, and he didn't have to work hard. So he was trying to, and this is the homoerotic part of it. He had this little old guy in there that worked for the company for the drugs. And the little man was just a sweet little guy, he's probably like me, a little old gay man. And he just he went Burt Lancaster put the hoodoo on him. Burt Lancaster went up to him all up and just chased the man down. Told him, he said, I want you to make these drugs for me, and we're going to sell these things from the company, and we're going to get these drugs to someone else. And somewhere along the way, something happened to where the drugs were not, well, I don't know what happened, but he had to convince the little chubby guy to do this, and he chased him down like he was chasing Barbara Stanwyck down. He got up there, rode up on him in the car, had a nice luxurious car, rolled the window down. The little man walking home from work, he catches the bus, and then if Burt Lancaster rolls up to you in a car that looked like a Cadillac or whatever, of course you're going to get in. Burt said, come on. And he drove him home, and then he tried to talk to him about doing something illegal. And well, little chubby man said, oh no, we're not doing that. La la la. And he got out the car, said, I'm not gonna do it. He said, Burt parked that car, got out, walked him to his doorstep and convincing him to break the law for him. And this is the strange part of it. The little man was just transfixed with Burt. They had shots with them this close together. Burt Lancaster looking at him in his eyes and his mouth, talking about, we can work this out. And then he says, and then he tells he's trying to discuss it in front of the man's door. And then the man tells him, I don't know, I shouldn't do it. And then Burt turns around and says, well, I'll just leave. If you don't want me to help you out or help us out, we're not going to do it and everything. And so after walking him to it, leaving his car in the street, walking him up to his house, and then the little man said, well, maybe we can do something, I guess, since you want to do this. And Burt turned back around. He says, really? And he says, we can talk about it. He says, and then this is where it kind of gets little shady there. He says, well, let me come into your house and I can talk to you better about it. Burt Lancaster slides up in there to that little man's house. I don't know what he did to him. But the little man was going along with it. And then he got him to do that, and the little man was on his side, but then they got in trouble because they were under investigation from his Burt Lancaster's old girlfriend's husband. And she finds out that something's going on. She finds out, and then she tells Barbara Stanwyck that something's going on, and you need to be aware to either help him or help yourself. And so it was really, it was suspenseful. You had to, this is one of those movies that you really have to pay attention to all the little side streets on it. So you just can't watch it and go on about your business, and then you're gonna miss something if you don't watch the whole movie. And so she tells this to Barbara Stanwyck, and Barbara Stanwyck was flawless in this thing. I mean, those people worked Barbara Stanwyck's hair like they were working a dress on someone. And they had, her hair was top notch. And when she was, as the movie went on, her hair was kind of just regular hair. and then as she started to fall apart on the phone, trying to figure out this stuff of what her husband was doing, either with the little man or with whoever he was doing this with. And him and the little man were meeting in an old house somewhere too, to trade stuff for the money and the drugs they were doing. Well, Barbara Stanwyck finds all this stuff out and confronts him, and the other part was that he didn't really want to do that to her, but she was just, there was times when she was in the movie, she was really a rich girl's daddy. She just kind of like was petty. And so at the end, when it comes down to somebody breaking into the house to kill her, as she found out at the very beginning of the film, she thought it was someone else, not realizing it was her, because they had all the props of the 1940s, party lines, dial phones with the things on it. They were working those phones in there. And so she found out at the beginning that something was going on, and then she slowly put together that she actually listened to her own potential demise. So, and she told him near the end, she finally caught up with him after several attempts. He knew what was going to happen. And then he found out that it didn't have to happen, because she said, all you had to do was just tell me. I would have paid the money for anything you got yourself into, so you wouldn't have to do what you were thinking about doing. And they ended up having a very good conversation while she was crying and hysterical. And then he realized the problem he thought he had, he didn't have. So this hit that was going on, he regretted it. And he tried to help her, told her to get up and scream, get up and move, get out the house. And she couldn't do it because the doctor had already told her the stuff that was wrong with her. She was having these heart palpitations. He says all of that was really in her mind. So she made herself a disabled person, and she really wasn't disabled. She was just mentally ill with the way she thought her body was working. And he was tore up about it, and he couldn't stop it. And the way it is, they said nobody makes movies. At the end, the guy announces on TCM, he says, nobody makes movies where you just stop like that movie stopped. He says they won't even make them like that anymore, because the guy kills her at the end and answers the phone while he's trying to call back to see if she's all right. And he's regretting what has happened. And he picks it up, and the guy says, sorry, wrong number. And then it did that Hollywood and dun 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 dun. It was fantastic. I mean, you had to get, that was that was a fantastic role on that movie. And then I looked it up on ChatGPT. I asked, did this movie win any awards? It said no. This movie did not win any awards for Oscar. Now, it won some nominations. Barbara Stanwyck was nominated for that, and she should have been. And because she was absolutely fantastic, rolling around on that bed. They done fixed her hair. The hair was rolling this way. The hair was going this way. She was down in her face. She done fell on the floor. The hair comes up. The phone is rolling. She's dialing for dollars on it. It's just a tour de France. So that thing, she was working for the money. And I said, wow. I said, and throw in that homoerotic stuff in the middle of it, and because you never know what happened between him and the little man, and you don't know if he got in any trouble. So it just stopped. It doesn't give you a ending to the solution. Well, that's what I did today. That movie took over my life for a moment. I was surprised because usually I won't watch a movie like that because I have short attention span, theater mind. And so I'm usually having to work the computer and looking at the TV, listening to the music or whatever, I just can't sit there and watch that. But I watched that. And then TCM trying to pull a root on people that want to watch movies like that. Then comes Bette Davis on Now Voyager. I said, no, I can't get. I know that's a good movie, and I've seen that one before, but I hadn't seen that all the way through too. I ended up going back and forth trying not to watch it, and I watched some of it, a little bit of it, but Bette Davis was really good in that movie. Those 1940s movies, they was off the chain. I mean, everything was clicking, tapping, and working. And they knew how to put the music to it. They knew how to do people. And while I was watching the Barbara Stanwyck movie, Sorry, Wrong Number, being a black person, we're always looking for black people in these movies some kind of way. And I did see a black child was in it, a little baby, a little policeman was taking care of the baby. The mama was not there, and he was helping the lady with the baby. I think they were trying to find a mother. And then cute little black baby in it. And then they had a maintenance worker, a janitor in the movie that was black, and also one of the porters in the movie was black. So I looked at that. Those are the things most black people always look for other black people and things like that, and that was good to see. And the same thing with Now Voyager too. You look for that too, and there was a couple of porters or people in that, black people there. So you look at stuff like that. But as for the overall thing, Sorry, Wrong Number is A+. And let me tell you, Burt Lancaster, if he wanted to just come into my house, that would be fine. And then I see why everybody was just falling for him in this movie. He was a Svengali. He would hypnotize everybody. Can you do this for me? Can you help me? Yes, Burt. We all can help you. Well, that's my revelations, and that's my take on a genuine noir classic on TCM. Well, I guess I'm gonna put this video out. I may have said more than what I intended to say, but there it is. Anyway, let me get off here, YouTube. This is my little daily video, and I hope everybody has a great in the great week ending, upcoming week, whatever, because it's Sunday on this video. But you know, that's where they play all the good movies and stuff. But anyway, this went longer than what I intended, but it was good. Bye.